Hey y'all, welcome back to the show. Before I really open this thing up, everything that I talk about today is for entertainment purposes only. Don't take anything I say serious because this is for entertainment. Um, I came across this video and it was really disturbing. So I'm gonna play this. It's good old friends over here at the Gates talking about all sorts of things. I think I really want to lay out something because there's a case to be made here about um, the beast system and where this thing is heading and what is the idea that they are looking to fulfill. I think what you see here is a personification of where this system is heading. If you like videos like this, make sure you click that like button, subscribe, share it now so that the algorithm will be in our favor and we can get this channel blown up because we talk about some interesting things. Look at this video and we're going to unpack this a little bit more.
We were at one of these meetings yesterday, and I remember that a lady told you that she had had 8 children and 4 of them had died in childbirth or shortly thereafter. But if all of them had survived, she'd have 8 children. And what the developing world does not need is more children.
What did he say? Hold on, let me let me go back real quick. I want y'all to hear this again. What did this man just say?
Children.
And I think that
More children. And what the developing world does not need is more children.
One more time. One more time.
Need is more children. What the developing world does not need is more children.
and I think that was the biggest aha to Bill and me when we got into this work, is we asked ourselves, of course, the same hard-nosed question you'd ask, which is, if you get into this work and you start to save these children, will women just keep overpopulating the world? And thank goodness the converse is absolutely true. They don't do that because women say to themselves, they want 2 children to survive into adulthood. If she knows that 2 will survive into adulthood, she will naturally bring down her population. And so as soon as she starts to see that getting
It's interesting that they only saying the women from one standpoint. The women say this. Well, what about the guys that the husband that's having the kids with his wife? Who said who said that we only want 2 kids? Hmm. I don't know, y'all. I think there's an agenda here.
them vaccinated or keeping them alive during the birth, she won't have as many children. That's what we just heard from this group as well, that the older women had had more children, hoping more would survive, but the younger women are starting to plan for smaller families because they know they'll live.
They all said they wanted 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Not
That's what you want. Yeah.
And so if you understand that there's a high likelihood that your child is going to survive, you believe they'll have fewer.
Absolutely. And we're seeing that play out in all the population numbers across the globe. In fact, the population rates are coming down faster than had been predicted 10 years ago.
My question is, why does it matter to you? Why does it matter to you that someone in Africa is having 8 children? Why does it matter to you that your neighbor around the corner is having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids? What does that have to do with you? It's weird, man. It's weird. Why? What does the world population have to do with you? This is something that the elites, man, they thirst after this stuff. This is weird, and this is going to get weirder, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna dive into some deep stuff today. But depopulation is this. I believe this is an element of the beast system as we go into the closing of this age. And what's happening is that at the closing of the age, this is man's attempt to fully govern themselves according to what they want to do. They're looking to find technology to extend life, that they can live beyond the 120 years that God has designated, 120, 25 years or so that the Lord has designated. Um, they're looking to get past that again, to get back to those years of living 2, 3, 4, 900 years. That this is the concept of consciousness being completely digital so that they can move it from body to body, but they need a suitable host in order to do so. This is called transhumanism. So transhumanism has this element of living forever. Listen, this world is trying to control and live for a long time with that control, and it's impressive what's out there if you just open your eyes and see. Now, this element that she's talking about, that they're talking about, is an aspect of this sustainability. I mean, how many of y'all have heard about sustainability? Oh, hold on, let me go back here. Uh, Getting to zero carbon emissions, right? This is why everybody want to go to. This is why these governments are trying to get to electrical cars and all of this stuff. Why? It is to reduce carbon footprint. But here's what you're going to see. This is the equation that they are bolstering in order to get to net zero, because our good old friend here, Mr. Gates, has a excellent formula and a solution to get this entire world to net zero. This is his TED talk. I want to say was this 14 years ago. This other video was somewhere around that time to 11 years ago. Let's hear what Mr. Gates has to say.
Average about 5 tons for everyone on the planet. And somehow we have to make changes that will bring that down to zero. It's been constantly going up. It's only various economic changes that have even flattened it at all. So we have to go from rapidly rising to falling and falling all the way to zero. This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero.
He's setting it up here. So again, I want you to really remember, pay attention to math. You know, in math, whenever you do a basic equation, right? You have 1 A times B equals C. And if you're going to get C to zero, that means any one of the numbers has to get to zero. Any one of the A or the B needs to be zero in order to get the equation to zero, right? Think about that. Matter of fact, he's going to highlight it for us here because he's the genius and we're not.
That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population.
So you hear the chuckle. People chuckling because they hear what he's saying. They hear what he's saying. We got to get one of these numbers to zero. And what's the first one? The first one is population.
The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9.
You know what? I'm going to rewind it because I want y'all to catch the whole flow of what just happened here. I want y'all to get the whole flow. Let me scoot it back just a little bit.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back
Get
from
a
high
chuckle.
school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, did y'all just hear what he just said? Did you hear what he just said? Vaccines, reproductive services. What is that? We all know what that is. It's unaliving babies. It's reproductive services. This is why Roe versus Wade, the being able to overrule or to throw out Roe versus Wade was a monumental step for Christianity and believing in the Lord Jesus Christ and everyone having a right to life. You don't get to play God. You don't get to determine how many people on this earth. God told us to be fruitful and multiply. Why are y'all trying to reduce the population? We are heading towards the beast system, ladies and gentlemen. These folks are trying to figure out how to get us in a controllable manner. And I'm gonna point out something here in a few, but I want y'all to finish listening to some more of the context of where he's getting at here, just so you don't think I'm blowing this out of context.
The second factor is the services we use. This encompasses everything: the food we eat, clothing, TV, heating. These are very good things. Getting rid of poverty means providing these services to almost everyone on the planet. And it's a great thing for this number to go up. In the rich world, perhaps the top 1 billion, we probably could cut back and use less. But every year, this number on average is going to go up. And so overall, that will more than double the services delivered per person. Here we have a very basic service. Do you have lighting in your house to be able to read your homework? And in fact, these kids don't. So they're going out and reading their schoolwork under the street lamps.
Okay.
When you learn at Lamar State.
Okay. Okay. Let's think about this. So if they're already in a poor country and their services per person isn't as much as it is in the developing world, then why does it matter then? If you have, as you saw in that picture, 20 different people using a street lamp in order to read homework or read a book, isn't that more savings than them having a candle in their house? What than them having each individual house in which they're living at now have lights and carbon based services? Think about that. They not using what we're using. So why does it matter? If they're not in a developed world and they are not consuming the same amount of carbon based emissions, carbon based services and products that we're using, then that number isn't going up because of them. It doesn't make sense how they justify depopulating everybody. Insane. Insane. Past this ad here. Skip back to to the show.
Now, efficiency, E, the energy for each service, here finally we have some good news. We have something that's not going up. Through various inventions and new ways of doing lighting, through different types of cars, different ways of building buildings, there are a lot of services where you can bring the energy for that service down quite substantially. Some individual services even bring it down by 90%.
So, again, I just want to give you a little bit more context to what he's saying. So, if we don't have a lot of people in the developing world who will be consuming these services, because let's face it, I mean, if we're in a rich developed world, they've already programmed us to have 2 kids, right? If you want to have more, you get socially chastised. To be honest with you, they also make it hard to be able to have more kids and be financially stable, right? This is the faux taxing that we get. This is the faux lifestyle. This is the chasing the Joneses that don't allow us to have more kids because we want to, because we enjoy our family. But these elites have as many kids they want to have. Some don't, because some are on the other end where they don't want to have kids at the end of the spectrum. Then there's others who are trying their hardest to have 20, 30, 40, 50 of posterity. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. But if you think I'm making this up, let me show you something. You ever heard of Georgia Guidestones? Georgia Guidestones really highlights what's the goal. These Guidestones was actually destroyed in 2022, but they came up. They was erected around 1980, and they lasted from 1980 to 2022. It's about 19 feet tall. That's pretty tall, man. Made from 6 granite slabs, totaling 237,000 pounds. This construction just appeared overnight. It just showed up in this guy's field. It just left it out there. These Guidestones had a purpose. Let me see, is it here? Yeah, here it is. The inscription read this. Let's look at this. Maintain humanity under 500 million people. Okay. In perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. What you say? A one world government, one world currency, one world thought process. Right? Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Get out of here. That ain't real. Who determines the fairness and who determines the just? Well, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Let all nations rule eternally, resolving external disputes in a world court. This is a one world government. One world government. It's right here. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Take away your individual rights. Take away the lower municipalities, the ones that causes the most amount of effect to our lives in America. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Crazy. Balance personal rights with social duties. What? Personal right. Balance personal right with social duties. No. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. They don't even know what that means. Crazy. With some sort of God is what they're saying there. Balance truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. With the God of the infinite. They ain't the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I don't know what that is. That's a doctrine of demons, baby. Do not be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Worshiping, right? That's worshiping Mother Earth. It's crazy, man. And if you think I'm making this stuff up, I seen this, and this rocked my world when I first came across this video back in 2021. Let me grab it here. I thought this was this is a good recap, man, of what is going on. I may not interrupt it a lot. I shouldn't get dinged on this. This isn't a YouTube video, so we might be all right. Might not get slapped with with copyright off of this one. But let's see. Go back. I think was that the ad.
Nearly 2,400 years ago in ancient Greece, Plato discussed the importance of population control. Aristotle advocated the use of abortion and infanticide.
Aristotle.
In 1798, an essay on the principle of population was written by Thomas Malthus. He outlined the idea of positive checks, which are diseases, wars, disasters, famines, and genocides. Malthus believed that these things should be utilized to increase the death rate, and believed that human misery was an absolute necessary consequence. In 1859, Charles Darwin published The Origin of Species. In it, Darwin only hinted at the implications of human populations, but his cousin, Sir Francis Galton, became obsessed with the idea. In 1883, Galton published Inquiries into Human Faculty and Its Development, wherein he wrote that his intention is to touch on various topics more or less connected with that of the cultivation of race, or, as we might call it, with eugenic. The term comes from the Greek word eugenis, of noble birth. In the early 20th century, eugenics became an academic discipline in universities. Organizations were formed and funded to win public support. The Kaiser Wilhelm Institute and the Cold Spring Harbor Institute rejected the idea that all humans are born equal and began selling the idea of cultivating a new master race of noble bloodlines. Planned Parenthood was formed in America by racial eugenics advocate Margaret Sanger. President of IBM, Thomas J. Watson, established a special subsidiary in Poland called Watson Business Machines to assist in the Nazi invasion of Poland. This business continued throughout the war, and IBM managed the entire operation from their headquarters in New York. During the Nuremberg trials, the Nazis quoted U.S. Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes in their own defense. They claimed that their eugenics program was being run from the United States. The Nazis were rightly admonished for war crimes, but not Thomas Watson. He went on to create the IBM World Trade Corporation and passed IBM on to his son. His granddaughter ended up marrying Margaret Sanger's grandson. Bill Gates' father worked on the board for Planned Parenthood, and his mother worked on the corporate board for IBM, who Bill partnered with to create Microsoft. With no medical background, Bill Gates then went on to become the world's foremost pusher of vaccines and population control. Do you think this is all coincidence? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funds the WHO, the NIH, the CDC, and the UN. And now he is saying that until we get mass vaccinations, we might never be able to gather in groups.
In which activities like mass gatherings may be, in a certain sense, more optional. And so until you're widely vaccinated, those may not come back at all.
The president's coronavirus
Y'all remember that? Ooh, wee man. It's getting real, y'all. This ain't no joke. This ain't no joke, man. Y'all remember this? Just want to make sure y'all remember this. The world is surely trying to tuck this one away and not bring it back. Don't even want to say nothing.
response team are all pushing the Bill Gates vaccination agenda. Dr. Fauci is on the leadership council for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. In January of 2017, Anthony Fauci told a crowd at Georgetown University that there would be a surprise outbreak during the Trump presidency.
There is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak.
Deborah Birx is a board member for the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria, which was founded by the Gates Foundation and known for millions of dollars of fraudulent misuse of funds. In October of 2019, Bill Gates sponsored Event 201, a simulation that estimated 65 million people killed by coronavirus.
Boy, they would have been happy if that worked. Really, really happy if that worked. I think that might be trying to get them a little closer to their, goal of 500 million people on this planet. Crazy, man.
In November of 2019, the PureBright Institute, funded by Bill Gates, was granted European patent number EP3172319B1 for a coronavirus vaccine that may be used to treat humans. Today, Dr. Fauci says the virus will keep coming back, and he says the ultimate game changer will be a new vaccine. In Australia, the Prime Minister is telling people the shutdown will last months, that it's the new normal, and that the only way out of your homes is to accept the vaccine. There is no proof that vaccines are the answer. In fact, the CDC admitted in
Y'all remember that? Remember this? Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, there is a goal. There's a goal to reduce the world's population. Again, how I think this fits into the plan is the man's attempt to govern themselves, both by population, by finance, by religion, probably even by supernatural, even also, probably even with supernatural means. There is a coming one world government, one world currency, one world religion, one world system, which would be the Tower of Babel all over again. That man will finally be able to join unified again in its attempts to come against the Lord God Almighty. That's what we see in Revelation. We see that as the Lord, as the trumpets begin to roll and they see the Lord in the sky and they begin to want to make war with him because they hate him so much. Why? Because the people of God have left this place. And they thought that, well, now that the Christians are gone, we can finally have peace on earth. And this suave world leader has came on the scene and let them know that I'm here. I'm going to bring world peace. We're going to come together. We're going to merge all the beliefs, all the religions, because that's the problem. We're going to merge it all together under me. Under me. Because he exalts himself against all things called God. Coming after us, y'all. They're coming after us. And you need to be wise, ready, and eyes wide open not wide shut. It's to the agenda to unalive people. It's a real agenda, man. They ain't making this stuff up. They ain't scared. They hardly even hiding it anymore. Hardly even hiding it anymore. So I want to know your thoughts. Put your comments below. I want to continue this conversation. Put your comments below. I want to know what you think about this depopulation and eugenics, creating this super race, this race of the elites, and everybody else is just peasants for their fulfillment. So put your comments below. I want to know what you think, y'all. See you in the next video. Peace.